know if that was the right move. I don't know if I would say that. Hi my lovelies, it's Rebecca Rogers. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. And it's time for our weekly episode of Am I the Bad Apple? A little recap for our new friends. People send in stories of situations where they need us to tell us if they were the good apple or the bad apple. I tell you guys in this video what I think. You guys let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. So without further ado, let's go apple picking. Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for telling my classmate she's too fat? Is that really a submission? Okay. I go to a boarding school and my boarding school has a lot of exchange students who speak different languages. So every day after school, teachers take us in groups to a local shop so people can buy anything they might need. The other day I was walking to the shop with a big group of other girls. One rule that we have is that when we walk, we have to go one behind the other. It's a really busy path and it's way too narrow to walk side by side. We were walking and one of the exchange students cut in front of me to stand by her friend. I was a little frustrated, but I just kept walking anyways. But on the way back to the school, we were walking on one side of the path and an old woman was walking on the other side. Keep in mind, the road is fairly busy. Without even looking, the same girl pushes past me and nearly pushes the poor old woman over. She didn't even stop to say she was sorry. When I caught up with her, her friends were standing 3 in a row right next to each other and I said, "You guys can't walk side by side like that. You're taking up too much space." This girl immediately turned red and apologized and walked back into the line. When we got back to campus, I see her crying. One of her friends comes over to me, pushes me down, and yells at me for calling her friend fat. I said I'd never call her fat. She said that I said she was taking up too much space and that I clearly meant she was fat. She said that I was bullying her friend and that their whole group was gonna report me to the principal for bullying. That wasn't what I meant at all. I was just trying to tell them to stand 1 in a row in line. I guess it came off the wrong way? Should I not have said anything at all? I can't decide. Am I the bad apple? I think this is a really interesting situation and I'm really glad this girl was very specific with the kind of school she goes to, because honestly, all that I think this is a miscommunication between language barriers. She said this is a school with a lot of foreign exchange students and that this particular girl in question was a foreign exchange student. If English isn't her first language, which is usually the case with foreign exchange students, I can definitely see this misunderstanding happening and no one really means for it to. Language barriers can make communication hard. Something a lot of people don't know is that when you translate between languages, a lot of times there aren't really perfect translations and sometimes that can get kind of messy. I don't think this girl meant to comment on anyone's weight. I think she was genuinely frustrated seeing these girls break the rules and then almost hurt somebody in the process of them breaking the rules and was just kind of like, hey, stop doing that. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're causing problems. I think it was taken the wrong way and I think the other girl's friends are being very protective. Now, are they going a little overboard? Also, if they're also learning English, I can see them misunderstanding as well. I think it's great that they want to stand up for their friend and they clearly genuinely think that their friend is being bullied and they want to report it to the adults and have it taken care of. I think that's great. Obviously, again, we're in a misunderstanding. The girl wasn't actually bullying her. Hopefully once they involve the adults and they all sit down and talk it out and it's made known to everyone that no, this is really just a misunderstanding, I think it'll be fine. That one was a whole lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. Well, to be fair, I thought it was gonna be a bad apple, but it's not. I'm gonna go good apple because I don't think there was anything wrong that was done. The only thing I could argue that was wrong was the pushing by the friends. I'm not a fan of that. We're just gonna go good apple. That was an easy one. I didn't even realize he was behind me. Hey, buddy. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for embarrassing my mother-in-law? My wife, female 33, and I, male 34, have 2 beautiful daughters. We're currently expecting our 3rd and recently found out the gender of the baby. It's a girl, again. No biggie, I love girls and I'm beyond happy and thrilled. We're visiting my in-laws to make the announcement after dinner. We were all seated at the table when my wife announced our baby's gender. My mother-in-law looked disappointed and didn't even try to hide it. Gender disappointment or whatever they call it is fine, I guess. People are entitled to feelings. You can't control that, right? However, she gave me this look and flat out said, "A girl? Again? Something
Something feels off here. You know that men are responsible for the gender of the baby, right?
I replied with, "You think I must be doing something wrong or something?" She responded with, "No, but I'm just being honest here." I responded with, "It's fine, really. They're kids. Why would their sex matter? It's not like I plan on inbreeding them." Suddenly everyone starts laughing and mother-in-law went completely quiet. She excused herself to the bathroom and stayed there for a while. Then dinner got awkward. Like, really, really awkward. So awkward that we ended up going home. My wife started getting angry calls from her mother about me embarrassing her and humiliating her with my stupid joke at the dinner table. She said I disrespected her in her own home. I told my wife that her mom was blatantly trying to blame me. My wife said, technically, our mom was right, that men are responsible for the gender of the baby. I said, so what? We learned that in school. Why bring that up? My wife suggested I apologize to her mom and she'll also talk to her, but I refused. I don't think I need to apologize. So, am I the bad apple? Here comes the disclaimer. It's like, it comes every single video for one reason or another. I don't have kids. I don't know what it's like to tell people, oh, I'm having a baby, blah, 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 it's a boy, girl, whatever. And then people be disappointed. I don't even know how to begin to feel about that. If I were having a child and I said, oh, this is the child that I'm having, and someone was disappointed, I would probably be really annoyed, to be honest. I can also see the husband being really frustrated that the mother-in-law not only is disappointed in the baby that they're having, but is blaming him for it not being a different gender. Yes, I get it. The Y chromosome is what decides the gender. It's not like he picks. That's not how that actually works. He doesn't get to choose. And also saying this is your fault is also making it seem like it's a negative thing. It's a baby. Be happy that it's a healthy baby. That's the point, right? I think mother-in-law was super out of line for one, voicing disappointment about the baby's gender. Because I get it, you know, a lot of Avery's cousins have had kids and I'm like, oh, I want to play with a little baby girl. And they had boys and I'm like, oh, that would have been fun to play with a girl, but excited to play with a baby boy. But I'm not gonna voice, wow, I really wish you were having a different kid. Like, that's messed up. No. But then taking it a step further and being like, this is your fault. No. Being in the classroom, and especially teaching social studies for a few years, I learned that when people are really uncomfortable or nervous, a lot of times they giggle or make jokes because that's like their panic response. I can see this guy panic responding with a joke like that. Yeah, why does it matter it's not a boy? It's not like they're gonna be breeding the kids. I definitely don't think the joke was more wrong than the mother-in-law's behavior, so I'm gonna go good apple. Again, I don't have experience in these things, and on top of that, my mother-in-law passed away before I even got married. I'm gonna go with good apple because that's just based off the experiences that I have. What do you guys think though? Does anyone have experience in this kind of thing? Does anyone really get along with their mother-in-law or really butt heads with their mother-in-law or told someone the sex of their baby and had someone get disappointed? Like, what do you guys think? Because I don't have experience in any of these things. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for disrespecting my teacher? I, 15-year-old female, always wear this one bracelet on my right arm that my little brother bought me before he passed away. I never told any of my friends about my brother because he was my best friend and I would cry whenever I spoke about him. However, because we're not allowed to wear jewelry at my school, I did tell my teachers and they said they would spread the words to others so no one would tell me to take my bracelet off. Well, one day, my PE teacher saw me with it on after changing for PE and she demanded I take it off. She didn't even say it in a polite way. She just said, take off the bracelet. I refused and told her, no, I'm never taking this off. I promised my brother I wouldn't. She didn't even care and she told me to take it off again. I didn't say it was because my brother died because this was in front of the entire class and I didn't want all of them knowing. Then my teacher says, just don't tell him you took it off. At that point, I snapped. I went, okay, I'll take it off when you take off your wedding ring. She looks at me in pure fury, and my entire class starts shouting at me, saying that I was being rude and offensive. I didn't care though, because I knew my brother would be proud and happy that I kept it on. But now I'm in trouble at school, and I don't think I did anything wrong. So, am I the bad apple? Okay, I want to start this one off by saying I read some of the comments on my subreddit, and there was a lot of people who were like,
oh yeah, this is just like the kid that told his teacher to take off his hijab. It's like the same situation.
it's not. It's really not. I'm right now teetering between crab apple and bad apple, and let me tell you why, and why these two situations are so different. We're gonna start off with the fact that your PE teacher clearly didn't know. And you can tell because she's like, well, just don't tell him you took it off. She has no idea the situation, okay? And I know the teachers were like, oh, well, we're just gonna go ahead and spread the word so no one tells you to take it off. Two things. First of all, depending on how big your school is, I wouldn't be surprised if all the teachers don't know each other. The last school I worked at had 150, 175-ish teachers, and I didn't know half of them probably. It's a big school. You stay in your classroom, in your little hallway. It takes a while to meet everybody. There's not many opportunities for other departments to just sit and chat all day. Just because one teacher's like, oh yeah, I'll tell as many people as I can so they don't stop you, doesn't mean the whole faculty now knows. It means that she's gonna let her department know, hey. She's gonna let the people on her hallway know, hey, this is the situation. That doesn't mean Joe Schmo all the way across campus knows what's going on. I'm sure the administrator sent an email at the beginning of the year, hey, blah, 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 just letting you know this kid has this situation. She's got on this bracelet, let her be. Do you know how many times I got an email about a specific kid at the beginning of the year and they were like, hey, just letting you know, blah, 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 blah. And in my head, I'm like, okay, this kid has this situation going on. But when I have 100 kids that semester, it's gonna take me a second to not only pair names to faces, but also pair names to faces to situations and like, okay, yeah, got it. Elective teachers have more kids than core class teachers. They see every kid, everyone. So yeah, the gym teacher probably either didn't know or just didn't pair the face and the name in the situation. Like that happens a lot. And before you jump down my neck and say, oh, well, they should have known. As someone who has experience in this field, I guarantee you this girl is not the only one with that kind of extreme circumstances. There's a lot going on in these kids' home lives that the rest of the school isn't aware of, and it's a lot of things to keep track of. Second of all, the gym teacher's not like take off the bracelet just to take it off. When you're playing PE and you have on jewelry, you can get hurt. Like rings, you can't have rings on when you play sports like that because if you jam your finger, they can get stuck and can cut off circulation. It's not safe. I don't know what they were playing in gym class that day, but it could have just been for a safety thing. When you wear a piece of jewelry to remember a family member, I don't see it as you can never take this off ever, no matter what. Like, yeah, you wear it every day to remember them, but when it's necessary, whether you have a medical thing going on or if it's a safety issue with sports or something, you can take it off for like 20 minutes. It's not like you're taking it off because you don't want to wear it. You're not taking it off and never putting it on again. You're just taking it off for a moment, either to take a shower or to go swimming. Like, you don't want pool water to mess it up, or whether you have a medical thing going on, or whether you're playing a sport and it's a safety issue. No, I genuinely don't believe that if family members are able to look down on us and a family member would be like, oh, look at her yelling at her gym teacher because she won't take off the bracelet. You go! Like, I can't see that being a thing. And listen, I am fortunate enough that I don't personally have a lot of family members that have passed on. I'm very fortunate that both sets of my grandparents are around. All of our immediate family has been super healthy and fortunate. So maybe I just don't know any better, you know? Do you guys have different opinions? I'm gonna go with crabapple. I don't think that it was a disrespectful kind of slight or jab or anything like that. So I'm not gonna go bad apple. But I don't think she's the good apple either. At any moment in time, she could have told her teacher, can I talk to you privately for a second? And don't tell me she was too afraid She was bold enough to say what she said. She was bold enough to argue with her in front of everyone. She was bold enough to say whatever. You can't convince me she was too scared to ask her teacher to go talk to her in the hallway. She could have just let her know what was going on. You don't have to tell the rest of the class. You could have asked to speak to them privately and you just didn't. You wanted the whole school to cut you some slack and let you wear the bracelet when you really weren't supposed to, which is fine and that's understandable, but then you couldn't cut the teacher slack when they just didn't remember the situation? I can't give you the good apple icon. We're gonna go with crab apple. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for refusing to pick up my son's sister from school? I'm a single mom of 2 boys, ages 11 and 10. Their father and I divorced 5 years ago after I learned he was cheating on me. He got her pregnant right before he told me, and our divorce wasn't an easy one. He wanted to stay friends, but I couldn't look at him after what he did. He and I were together for over 13 years, and he was one of my best friends before he was my boyfriend and husband, and to have him betray me like that and treat me as he did was heartbreaking. He married his affair partner shortly after, and they had a daughter within months of our separation, followed by a son after the divorce and their marriage. Last year, they unfortunately lost a baby, which led to the discovery that his wife had cancer. What followed was a lot of fighting between the 2 of us again. He wanted me to help him and his wife out. He said their children, who are currently 5 and 3, needed family beyond just him and his wife. His own family disowned him after our divorce because they were extremely religious, and she has no family. I told him, over my dead body will I help you and your family. He argued that this was for the children, and if not for his kids with her, then for our boys, who could see their family heal and be one. I told him he stopped any chance of that happening when he cheated on me. What I didn't expect would be for him to tell his daughter's school to call me when she got sick. He was at work at the time and couldn't leave apparently because he already missed a lot of work due to his wife's illness. And she was home recovering from chemo. I got the call and was asked if I could pick her up and I said no. Several hours later, I got reamed on the phone by him for leaving his sick child at school when I knew they had nobody. That's when he told me that he couldn't leave and his wife was resting. I told him the babysitter for his son should have been called way before me. He told me I should be ashamed because she was a sick child who was going through a lot and I could have helped her. He said he hoped our sons were ashamed of me. They're not. I guess part of me does feel really bad for the child, but I want nothing to do with their family. My sons are starting to feel how tense the situation is, and I feel bad for them, but I want absolutely nothing to do with the family my husband created after he cheated on me. They're not my responsibility, and I never signed up for that. So, am I the bad apple? No, you're not. I mean, I agree. I also feel really bad for the kid, but that's the thing. The dad is using the kids as weapons. He's the one that created this whole mess. So pretty much what I'm getting from this is that he was married, he cheated on his wife, made this new family, and unfortunately, the longevity of that marriage is not going to last. She got sick, which is awful. Whether she was a mistress or a cheater, whatever, it doesn't matter. Cancer sucks. But that doesn't mean that it's the original wife's duty to clean up that mess. She's responsible for her 2 kids, and that's it. If the dad wanted them to be a big, happy family, maybe he shouldn't have cheated on her. If you're not happy, get a divorce. Don't cheat. I would have way more sympathy for the dad if he left his previous marriage before having all these new kids and then was like, oh, let's be family, blah, 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 blah. But no, you relinquished that one big happy family title when you tore apart your last marriage. And just because you get a divorce doesn't mean you're tearing a family apart. People can co-parent beautifully. I've seen it. But when you cheat, that's tearing apart a family. And I don't have sympathy that it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Now you just want to go back to how things were. It doesn't work that way. I don't think this lady has any responsibility to these other 2 kids that aren't hers. I just can't see any scenario in which this lady would be responsible for those kids. And yes, I feel so bad for those kids. They're going through a lot. Their mom is sick. The one girl is now sick at school. She has no one to come get her. That stinks. That's not a good situation. I still don't think it's that lady's responsibility. And I don't think it's fair for her to be expected to drop everything and go help the family that destroyed hers. Of Of course it's not the kid's fault. I know I'm gonna have some Susan in the comments all upset. It's not the kid's fault. That doesn't mean she should be burdened with it either. I'm gonna go with a good apple on this one. And I think I might have a lot of people that disagree with me. I can see a lot of people who probably would, and I would love to know what you think. I would love to know your reasoning. Tell me all the things. I don't think she's a bad apple. It's like she said, the babysitter should have been called first. I don't know why the dad didn't call the babysitter. I do know why. He's trying to manipulate to make it all one big happy family, and that's not right. He could have called the babysitter, and he just didn't. And I know some Susan's gonna be like, well, maybe he couldn't afford another babysitter session. That's the situation he's in. I never said it was fair. I never said it was good. I said that's a situation. The daughter was sick. He didn't even ask if she was okay with it. He just assumed and just demanded. You can't do that, bud. These kids are losing their mother, okay? You really want to incorporate a new woman into their life that doesn't want anything to do with them? If these kids get used to her being around and want a relationship with her because they see their half siblings loving her and having fun with her, can you imagine how hurtful it's gonna be when she's like, no, I don't want a relationship with them? Or the pain she's gonna feel if she's too gaslit or feels too guilty to completely cut them off? That's not fair. Dad needs to get it together. He needs to find other friends to help him out, or other family, or whatever, babysitters, anybody, not this lady. And if she eventually comes around and is willing to help, great, but he can't demand that from her. At least in my opinion. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. Doesn't mean I'll agree with you, but I would love to see your reasoning. All right, final tally. I have 3 good apples, 1 crab apple, some bad apples this time. Sometimes I feel like they get scared to send me their stories. 3 to 1, did you get similar votes? Did you get different votes? Let me know down in the comments. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And as always, if you want to submit one of your stories for a future episode, you can do so at my subreddit, r/amIthebadapple. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed enough to come back next week. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. The next time you hop in your car and turn on the radio, I hope your favorite song plays. See you guys next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.